All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We got to take a look at the view today. A few of the ladies on the panel, specifically Joy Behar and Sunny Holston, had some choice words for Senator Tim Scott, who announced recently that he'll be running for president in 2024. Now, before we get into that, it's typically Joy Behar and Sunny Holston who say some of the, dumbest things on this show, or Whoopi, or it'll be Whoopi, but this time it wasn't her. Joy Behar expressed that, because Tim Scott is a black Republican, that he doesn't understand the issues and struggles that black people have in this country. And Sunny Holston also agrees that Senator Tim Scott doesn't focus enough on oppression and systemic racism and things of that nature. So that's what we in for right now with this one. We're about to take a look at this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe while we watching. Now let's roll it.
I think one of the issues that Tim Scott has is that he seems to think because I made it, everyone can make it, ignoring, again, the fact that he is the exception and not the rule. And until he is the rule, then he can stop talking about systemic racism.
He's got Clarence Thomas syndrome.
But I do think that he has championed policies specific to help the black and brown community. The First Step Act, which I know a lot of liberals think it didn't go far enough, but it helped in the first year get 3,000 inmates released into rehabilitation programs.
Those are all great.
He was the champion of the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, which I think was able...
He was one of them, yeah. He was, listen, I don't take it... Look, he's done some good stuff, okay. But if you're running for president, you got to do more than that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let Whoopi get away from what she just said, because she just said that Tim Scott has Clarence Thomas syndrome, whatever that means. He has Clarence Thomas syndrome. So she went from that to saying, okay, well, yeah, he done some good things. Now, what is Clarence Thomas syndrome exactly? What syndrome is that? Is it not being or not portraying what you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to portray as a black person? Is it going against the norms of being a black person? Is it not voting typically Democrat like most black people do? Is that what having Clarence Thomas syndrome is?
But if you're running for president, you got to do more than that.
Yeah.
You have to represent us as a nation and then say, and as a black man, this is also how I feel. But you can't pretend that it's not there and that it's not an issue for the people you're running, for the party you're running for. They are, in part, the problem. This cat down in Florida, I mean, black people know there's a problem in Florida.
Yep.
That's what I just wanted to say to the
Mickey Mouse knows there's a problem in Florida.
Everybody knows.
Problem.
So everybody knows, and black people knows that there's an issue in Florida. But I mean, look, in spring break, you saw black people all over Miami, all up in South Beach, just mucking it up, having a great time. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are black people supposed to be scared about when going to Florida? I mean, make it make sense. And let me just go back a little bit, because I want to address something that she said right here.
Us as a nation, and then say, and as a black man, this is also how I feel.
She's saying that you have to represent America, but then you also have to say, I as a black man, I as a black man. Hot take maybe, but I think this is exactly how black people get duped and get tricked and finessed politically and never get what they want, because of past transgressions. A lot of black people expect some sort of handout, expect for something to be given to them, expect some sort of special treatment because of past transgressions. So it's easy for any politician to come along and say, yes, you're oppressed, you're this, you're that, I'm gonna do this for you to help you. And then when they don't deliver on the promise, we sitting there looking dumb. In my opinion, as the president of America, your obligation is to everyone. It's not just about black people. If you're a black president, it's not just about looking out for black people. I mean, everybody thought that that's what Obama was going to do, but that's here nor there. That's your duty of service as a president, is to the American people, for the greater good of America. And I would argue that a president like Donald Trump, he did things that were for the greater good of America. However, black people And, you know, minorities didn't see the greater good in it because, you know, because of this hardwiring that we have in our brains, where if you aren't coming to black people or coming to minorities saying specifically, hey, I'm gonna do this, this, and that for you, then they don't see it as help at all. But it's things that help out everyone, that are a benefit to not only black people, not only Hispanics, not only, you know, this minority group, but it's just beneficial to America as a whole. And part of the issue of being a president who unifies the country, how will you unify a country when you have two political parties so divided on every single issue that you basically got to pick one side of the aisle? You got to pick one camp and stick to it if you want to garner any votes, if you want to even get in that seat in the first place. You know, a person like Donald Trump, he was able to unify the right in a massive wave. But look at all of the people that hate him simply because he's on the right, and, you know, simply because they disagree with, you know, some of the aspects of his life, the way he talks, this, that, and the third. Our country is way too polarized and divided on so many issues that it's very difficult to be that unifier. And the last thing I want to mention on this segment of my video, I understand that people on the left are obsessed with oppression and, you know, virtue signaling and talking about marginalized groups of people and the victim class. And, you know, I understand that. But at what point can we discuss that we need to look, no matter what color you are, if you are behind the 8 ball, look at the markers and look at the actions of successful people and see what it is that they do and implement those things into your own life, and maybe you will see better outcomes. You know what I mean? Everything isn't all about, you know, financial inequality and a lack of this and a lack of that. There are certain things that anyone and everyone could be doing and implementing into their lives that will help their minority group, their ethnic group rise as a whole. But if you don't do these things, then you'll notice declines and you'll notice stagnation. Look at what works in a general sense and you apply those things to your own life, then maybe you'll find that you'll have better outcomes. But instead of telling us that, we get the same rinse, wash, and repeat victimization, systematic oppression, racism. You know, we get the same thing over and over again, man. If you hear that enough, if you hear that so many times, people might just start to think that it's nothing that they can do. They're just born into this super mega oppression that they can never see themselves out of, and they're in a country that's rigged against them. And that also plays into the divisiveness that we have in this country, where it's difficult to be a unifier when you have people who think like this because of things that they were told, and etc. But let's go on to the next segment. All right, so in this clip, we're going to take a listen to what Joy Behar had to say about Tim Scott. Let's roll it.
Tim Scott yesterday formally announced his campaign for presidency and laid out what he thinks the American people want. Take a look.
Do you think GOP voters want someone carrying a Bible, or do they want someone driving a bulldozer into the Democrats?
The truth is that what people really want is an optimistic, positive, conservative, who has a backbone, but also believes that the best is yet to come. I don't think you have to be a pessimist to be strong.
It doesn't sound like former President Trump is worried about you.
Well, I'll say this, I'd appreciate his vote as well. So the truth of the matter is that I do think that the power of persuasion is necessary for the next president. I happen to look forward to being that next president, and so I will take all votes I can get from anyone, anywhere, anytime as I head into this election.
Would you ever try to overturn an election you lost?
No.
That's such a dumb question.
So, what are we actually seeing here? What's happening?
Well, isn't he Professor Positive?
Yes.
Unlike Trump, everything's bad, there's doomsday. He's more in the Reagan-esque morning in America, things are fabulous. And he's also hedging his bets. He doesn't really go out and say he's not pro-choice exactly. Although he did say, when did he say that he would vote for anything they put on the table, the Republicans. So he is not pro-choice. And he's one of these guys who, you know, he's like Clarence Thomas, black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence.
Right.
And that's why they're Republicans.
Yeah. I know.
And Sonny Holston agrees. Sonny Holston agrees. They don't understand the struggles and, you know, the trials and tribulations that black people have went through and are currently go through. They don't understand none of that because they're Republicans. So if you are a Republican, according to Joy Behar, you don't understand the struggle of being black. Even though you were born and lived your whole life as a black person, you don't understand what it means to be black. You know, I think you see more black Republicans in the South. If I had to take a stab at it, I think it's more black Republicans down south as opposed to, you know, in the Midwest and up north. Joy Behar has to understand that voting Democrat is not a prerequisite to being black. And imagine Joy Behar is saying that, you know, if you're a Republican, you don't understand what it means to be black, as if voting Democrat and being a Democrat has been the antidote or a good thing for black people. You know, she presents her argument in a way as the side that she's on is good for black people and has actually done good things for black people. You know, it's quite ridiculous. I mean, you know, look at Democrat controlled inner cities. Just look at them. You know, that's what Democrats and Democratic policies have done for black people. You know, we have that writing on the wall to see.
I like Tim Scott. I could vote for Tim Scott. I like the optimism. It's such a juxtaposition to Trump. Just to be realistic, though, Trump is polling at 50%. If you combine everyone in the field right now, their collective polling still doesn't beat Donald Trump's. So the way to beat him, I would suggest, is that you need to take him on directly without alienating his voters. Myself am guilty of falling into the trap because I dislike the man so much, of being like, he could never be president again. He shouldn't get the nomination. 74 million people voted for him. Everyone here has someone in their life who's a Trump supporter. Those people still exist and they need to be persuaded. So you need a candidate who's going to challenge Trump, but also persuade people. And Ron DeSantis, who we hit a lot, but I thought he did something kind of smart in terms of going after Trump. He basically put out a tweet showing that Trump spent more money going after DeSantis than helping boost Republicans in the 2022 midterms. That's effective to a Republican primary voter. We need to see more of that.
He's the only one, DeSantis, just a quickie. DeSantis is the only one, I'm informed, who has a nickname, Ron DeSanctimonious. The others he hasn't given a nickname to.
Give him time.
But that
It will
shows you.
happen.
But he doesn't go after Nikki Haley or Tim Scott yet. So that means he's scared of DeSantis still.
Say what they want about Trump. They are obsessed with him. The whole liberal media is obsessed with Trump. Whenever Trump does anything, that's all they want to do is cover it. But Trump ain't even the topic of this video today. So in conclusion, this is Joy Behar sort of having her Joe Biden, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black moment. Clarence Thomas, Tim Scott, these guys are just old and confused and don't understand the struggles of what it means to be black in this country because they decided to be Republicans. So that means that they don't know anything. Yeah, another bad take from Joy Behar, but that's just the usual. Let me know what you thought about all this in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe on your way out the door. And until next time, you guys, I'm out of here. Peace.